Collin, I want to thank you very much for joining me. Do I call you Collin or do
Absolutely.
Yeah? Okay, yeah. Mr. Peterson.
No, Collin.
I've met you a few times, through our business and stuff, but I really don't know you a lot. So I appreciate you joining me out of your busy schedule. Can you tell me a little bit about, I know you're a U.S. representative.
I was.
Was?
Yeah.
Okay.
For 30 years.
For 30 years.
So.
Wow, yeah.
I was the longest serving congressman in this area in history.
Really?
Yeah.
In the history?
Of this area.
Of this area.
Yeah.
Longest serving for 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then the next one was like 18 years or something like that.
Okay. Okay. Well, you just about doubled that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you're a very public figure. A lot of people know a lot of stuff about you, but I would like to kind of know a little bit about, like, perhaps where you grew up.
Well, I grew up in Baker, Minnesota. You know where that is?
I do not. Baker, Minnesota.
Yeah. Well, that's our address. But our farm was actually halfway between Baker and Sabin. You know where they are?
Okay.
And south of Glendon.
Okay. So maybe a bigger city, maybe a little around Moorhead,
Yeah,
Minnesota?
we're 13 miles southeast of Moorhead.
Southeast of Moorhead. Okay. Baker,
And,
Minnesota is where you grew up.
So it's a little tiny town. It at one time had a post office, but it doesn't anymore. That's where our church was. Mm-hmm. And I still go over there to church sometimes. And it's like a lot of small towns. There's only like 15 people that come to church.
Sure.
So now they just merged with, it's a Presbyterian church. Mm-hmm. So they just merged with the Presbyterian church in Fargo. And so they kind of took over and.
Mm-hmm. But the building is still there yet.
Yeah, it's a beautiful church. My
Sure.
dad and the other people in the congregation, farmers, they built it.
Okay.
They poured the foundation and did all that stuff, and it's just, there's not a crack in it. It's just, they did a good job.
Yes. Do you know what year that was?
That was 1949.
1949. That church was built. Mm-hmm. Wow. And your dad was a part of that.
Yeah. He passed away in 18. He was 98.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
You come from longevity.
Yeah.
What was your dad's name?
Lauren.
Yeah. Okay. And he grew up in that area?
Yeah, he was born on the farm there.
Born on the farm. And then he met your mother?
Yeah, he had a dance. My mother was from Comstock.
And where's that located?
That's south of Moorhead.
Okay.
About 10 miles.
Sure. So pretty much the same vicinity.
Yeah. So that's, back in those days, they didn't get too far.
Oh, so 10 miles was, yeah, I understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had 8 kids.
Okay. So you're one of 8.
Yeah, and I was the oldest.
I
and
did
I
not
had
know
7
that.
sisters, no brothers.
You're the oldest of the family
Yeah.
of 8, and you're the only boy in the family.
Yeah. I wouldn't have survived otherwise.
Because
If I wouldn't have been with all those girls.
right, yeah.
But
Okay.
it was good, we had a section of land, we farmed.
Section, that's what, 600 acres?
640 acres.
640, okay.
And I did all the field work. And that's probably why I'm not a farmer, because I didn't like the field work that much.
Sure.
I had cattle, and I liked that part of things, but I ended up going to college at Moorhead State, which is all I could afford.
Sure. Let's go back to about, let's put you at about 10 years old, 10, 12, about that age. If you can go back, what was your activities during that time in your life, 10, 12?
Well, I was working on the farm.
Okay.
We had, I don't know, 50, 60 head of cattle that we fed.
Okay.
So I had to feed the cattle.
Sure.
And do all that sort of stuff. I did all the field work. And I liked to play baseball, but sometimes I couldn't do it because there was too much stuff going on.
Too much farm work. Yeah.
But so I was just working mostly.
Okay. Yeah. Do you
When
appreciate that hard work ethic growing up?
When I was 9 years old, I had my own tractor.
Oh.
And that's what you did in the farm. And
Sure.
and I, when we did grain harvest, when I was 10, 11 years old, we had a big old 3-ton truck that had 5 years, and it had a throttle. I don't know if you remember, but in the old days they had a throttle on them.
Like you pulled it out
Yeah, you
and
pulled it
pushed
out,
it in? Yes.
and you
yes.
could. So they would load the truck up and put it in gear, pull the throttle out, so it was going like 5 miles an hour, and I would drive it home.
Okay.
And I was like 10 or 11.
Okay.
So I'd had this on my knees on the truck,
Oh my.
and I'd go up on the road, and I'd be about a mile. I'd get home, and I'd get in front of the granary, and I'd turn it off
Okay.
because I couldn't reach the pedals or anything
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, the clutch.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay.
I just said so I did a lot of stuff like that.
Wow.
I ended up running the combine during harvest when I was probably 12 or 13. And
So you went to college, but you really were centered around farming. And your dad, I mean, he has some acreage there. Did you not want to
well,
stay in the farming business?
so my grandpa homesteaded that.
Okay.
So he lived there on the farm as well.
Sure.
And like I said, I wasn't that fond of the field work. It was kind of boring.
Okay.
So what ended up happening is I was in 4-H, and I built up 20 head of cattle through the 4-H. And so when I was a senior in high school, I had 20 head of cattle, and I decided I'm going to be a real farmer. So I sold the cattle, and I took the money and I rented 240 acres of land and planted potatoes.
Okay. Okay.
And that was in 1962.
Okay. So you had 20 head of cattle. Is that what you worked for? Like that was your payment, is to gain another?
Well, somewhat, yes.
Was that?
So no, but I also, when I decided to farm, my dad gave me 80 acres of land.
Okay.
For the work that I was doing for him.
Okay.
And I rented another 160.
Okay.
But what happened was that was 1962, and it was one of those wet years, like they have in the valley where they flood,
Yes.
So we planted. My cousin and I, we were farming with my dad's or my grandpa's brother. We were all farming together. So we had, between myself and my dad and Gene, my uncle, we had 840 acres of potatoes.
Okay.
Which is a lot of potatoes.
That's a lot of potatoes.
And we had a 4-row planter.
Oh.
So Sherwood, my cousin, he drove the planter, and I rode the back to make sure the potatoes went through. And
So that you would plant them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That they were getting
well, I
planted.
mean, you had to. The planter did that. It picked them off, but you had to. Sometimes it would plug up or
Sure,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so we planted those potatoes, and it rained, and the water stood, and the potatoes rotted. So we had to replant them, and we replanted them. I don't know, the 1st of June, and it rained again and drowned them out. So then about almost the 1st of July, we planted them a third time. So this is 840 acres, so we planted 2,600 acres of potatoes with a 4-row planter. So then it really rained.
Unbelievable.
And it backed up over all the land, and I got a picture of this old Caterpillar that I had. The water was over the tracks. So anyway, we never harvested a single thing. There was no crop insurance back in those days. So the money that I had put together with the cattle,
Reinvested.
I lost everything,
And how old were you at this time then?
18.
18.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my dad got me a job working for my uncle, who worked for Peter Kiewicz, a big contractor in Denver. So I drove to Denver and worked there for him to get enough money to go to college.
Construction.
Yeah.
Like building, pouring concrete?
Well, we were building roads.
Building roads. Road
So actually,
construction. Okay.
going back, so the year before that, that year we drowned it out, the 1st of July, we lost everything. So I wanted to go to college that fall, and I didn't have any money. So they got me a job mowing road ditches for Clay County.
Okay.
So I mowed road ditches the rest of that summer, and I got enough money to go to college. So at that time, I carried a full load at Morridge State. The tuition was $105
Okay.
for a full load.
Wow. Wow. In 19 what?
63.
1963. So I just have to back up just a little bit. Was that loss, that was like 3 times you had
Yeah.
planted those?
Yeah, well,
those
I had, by the time I got done, I lost everything that I had.
Okay.
So I didn't go in the hole.
Okay.
I just was broke.
Broke. So
it's-
was that the decision making? Was that the decision maker for you to go to college, or were you always
Well, I
going
was
to
going to,
go?
my dad wanted me to go.
Okay.
But if I would have had a big crop, in potatoes, you can either make a fortune or lose your shirt.
Okay.
And if I'd have had a big crop, I might have never did what I did.
Okay,
you know,
sure.
because that would have set me up to get into farming. But
Sure.
Anyway, the other thing I was doing at the time, so my band instructor, I played in the band in Glendon, and my band instructor was encouraging me. So I decided I was going to be a rock and roll star.
Oh,
So I bought a guitar,
okay.
and I taught myself to play.
Okay.
And I actually was playing in a band in that time frame.
Okay.
With a guy. First band was a guy named Danny Navarro, who was passed away now. But anyway, so I was doing that, and then when I went to college, a couple guys that were in college with me had been playing with Buddy Knox. You know who that is?
I don't know. I mean, I don't
Party
know.
Party Doll. You ever heard that song?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that was
okay.
Buddy Knox.
Okay. Okay.
So he had a one-hit wonder, and they were his band, and they were traveling around, and Buddy Knox fired them. So they came back, and they were in Fargo. So one was from Bismarck, one's from Fargo, and they needed a singer.
Okay.
So they hired me to be the singer with the band, and
you were learning to play guitar as well.
well, I knew by then.
You knew by then.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So and we were touring around the Midwest. So we were going to South Dakota and Canada and Iowa.
So you're a singer on top of.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Are you a
anyway-
good singer?
Well, I made my living doing it for a while.
Okay. All right.
So anyway, we were on the same tour as Jerry Lee Lewis,
Wow.
Conway Twitty, and we were touring. We were following those guys
Sure.
around.
Yep, they were the
same places.
headliners.
Yeah. No, I mean it wasn't like that. We played in a ballroom. They played the week before. We played, whatever.
Okay. Okay.
And so I'm in college. I'm playing in the band, and we're getting home at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and I'm doing it 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm about ready to flunk out of college. So I decided, I had to get serious about either I'm going to go to college or I'm going to be in the band. So I quit the band.
Oh.
Now, at the time, we were doing just as good as Conway Twitty.
Oh.
And look what Conway Twitty did.
Yes.
So I sometimes wonder if I would have stayed, just doing
Right.
the band stuff,
Right.
maybe I would have got someplace. But anyway, I didn't, and I decided to be an accountant
Okay.
and get my CPA because that was a way I could become a professional without having to go to law school and so
Okay.
forth. So,
Okay. CPA. So you like numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was good at numbers.
You were good at numbers. Is that something that you were like? It kind of really comes natural. Like,
Yeah, it came natural.
It came
to me.
natural.
And, yeah, so I, was doing that, and I just never went back to the farm.
Okay.
So I got my accounting degree. I was working for a CPA up in Moorhead, and he bought a practice in Detroit Lakes. This is very complicated, but anyway, so he owned the place, and I was running it.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And he was in Moorhead, and I was doing this by myself. I was 22 years old. So
Very young.
yeah. So anyway, he decided he was going to go in the computer business. So he bought this big, huge computer and put it in the bank. And he hired a programmer, and he was going to run accounting for the banks and so forth. And he was ahead of his time, and he went broke. So he couldn't afford to keep the practice. He couldn't pay for it. So so the banker, and they decided to sell it to me.
Okay.
So I'm 23 years old, and I've got this big debt at the bank, and I bought the practice.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how I ended up in Detroit Lakes.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground here. I'm going to just, we'll pick this back up again. I want to go back to when you left at 18, all 8 of those children, or 7 of those siblings of yours, those 7 girls, were they all born already?
Yes. The youngest ones were pretty little.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I left when I was 18.
Okay.
And got a place in Moorhead to go to college.
Okay.
So my buddy and I were renting a place, and we paid $30 a month rent.
Okay. Yeah.
$15 a piece.
Wow. And electricity, was that all included in that? Or was that
everything
everything was included? $30 a month.
Yeah.
$15 a piece. Okay. All right.
And the tuition was $105 a quarter.
Sure.
So that's how I was able to go to college,
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, I got out of college, and as soon as I graduated, that's when Don Tollefson bought this thing in Detroit Lakes.
Okay.
So he sent me down there to run that. And so we were going along until he got this computer, and then that blew everything up, and I ended up with it. So what's interesting out here, so a lot of my clients that I did tax returns for were from here.
Okay. From the Lakes area.
Well, no, from Frazee.
Okay.
I had a lot of dairy farmers.
Okay.
All these dairy farmers in this area, all the way
Sure.
over to Wolf Lake and
Okay.
Osage and all that area, were mostly small dairy farmers.
Okay.
And that's who I.
Okay. Where are we at now? About 1968?
Yeah, 67.
1967,
68,
something like that.
69, yeah.
So in the late 60s, early 70s, there was a lot of dairy farmers
Yeah.
in the area, central Minnesota area.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people in this area.
Right. So that was kind of setting the foundation then for you going into
Yeah, well, I used to sit and listen to them complain about, farming and not making
sure.
any money and so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot.
Right. Right.
And so I was practicing, got my CPA, and then I started building the business. I added some employees, and when I first started, it was just me and a secretary working half-time for me. And we did 1,100 tax returns.
That first year? or-
Yeah, the two of
Okay,
us.
so you were busy.
Oh, yeah.
You were really busy, and you had a secretary working half-time.
Half-time.
So you were working.
And I was doing it all by hand because
Okay.
back then we didn't have computers.
Computers.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah. Were you good at it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
We built the practice up, and we
Sure.
had a lot of.
Were you liked? Did
Oh,
people
yeah.
appreciate you?
Yeah.
So then it was a lot of build by mouth, word of mouth.
So when I ran for Congress, or with Senate, I ran for the Senate in '76. A lot of these people out here voted for me because
Okay.
they knew me
Okay.
from
The connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, it was a Republican area,
Okay.
and I ran as a Democrat.
Okay.
And I won anyway.
Sure. Right. Because you were just well known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
So
liked me, and they trusted me.
trusted you.
Yeah.
They liked you, trusted you, and believed in you that you would do what you said that
Yeah.
you were going to do. Okay. You appear to me like you are really, if you are given an obstacle, you're going to figure it out.
Well, that's what I learned on the farm.
Okay.
I mean, that's what
Okay.
you have to do.
Okay.
You got nobody to help you.
Sure.
You have to figure it out.
Right. I love that. Determination, a good fight.
Yeah, and when I ran for the Senate, people thought I had no chance.
Okay.
But I outworked everybody, and
Sure.
I drove for 3 months. I drove around this area all the way down to Henning, Wolf Lake, farm to farm,
Okay. Okay.
all summer long.
I have to ask you, what got you into politics? So we went from farming, then you had the 3 crops that
Well,
set you back, and that,
Well, so when I'm in college, my friend was into politics that I'd
Okay.
lived with.
okay,
And he drug me along to these conventions. He was a Democrat.
Okay.
So
Okay.
his dad was a union guy from the railroads.
Sure.
So I went to some conventions in college. I was in the Young Democrats in college. And then when I'm practicing, at Detroit Lakes, Bob Berglund was the congressman for that time.
Okay.
And he needed a treasurer for his campaign, so they had me be his treasurer.
Okay. Okay.
He got elected in 1970,
Okay.
and he served until 76, 77,
Okay.
when Carter made him Secretary of Agriculture. So I kind of got involved in politics through that.
Okay. Okay.
And that
Okay.
got me interested enough to run for the Senate,
Okay. Okay.
And
Do you have to have like any education in politics at all? Or?
No, you just have to have a sense for it, I think. So so I had a struggle to, at the time I decided to do this, I could not get up and make a speech without turning a beet red.
Okay.
So it was a big learning curve, but
Okay.
but I had some good people behind me that helped me that were experienced in politics. And like I say, I just outworked everybody. I went farm to farm, door to door. People liked me. I went to the county fair and stood there all night shaking hands, and that's what you do. And I had no idea what I was doing when I started. So I went to Fargo, and I had a press release that I was going to run for the Senate. So I went up there and gave it to the Fargo Forum, and I had not even checked to see who I was going to run against. I had no idea. I just was going to do it.
Okay.
And so, come to find out, the incumbent was Roger Hansen
Okay.
from Vergas.
Okay.
You know who
Sure.
that is?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Well, I would have never beat Roger Hansen.
Okay.
He was so popular.
Okay.
I mean,
Very liked in the area.
Yeah.
Sure.
and I'd never beat him. He
Okay.
was a Republican. But 2 weeks after I announced that I was going to run for the Senate, he announced he's not going to run.
Okay.
The blind, stupid luck, And
What was the purpose that he wasn't going to run
he
for?
just had enough of it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He just,
Okay.
and then
I understand.
Frank DeGroat, you know that name?
I recognize that name.
Yeah,
Yes.
so he was in the House.
Okay.
When he's also a Republican. He's from Oklahoma. So he had got upset with the legislature and quit.
Okay.
And said he wasn't going to run again. And he trashed the legislature, how terrible it was, and all this stuff.
Okay.
So when Roger announced he wasn't going to run for the Senate, Frank changed his mind and decided to run for the Senate.
Okay.
Which actually helped me because people didn't like the way he had
Attacked. Yep.
the system. And so I won the election, even though I probably shouldn't have,
Okay.
because of, I had to work hard too,
Sure.
but there was other circumstances. And once I got in,
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
When you say that you shouldn't have won,
well, the Democrats shouldn't have won that
okay.
election.
Okay. Because of the area that it
It
was
was so Republican.
very okay.
It'd be
heavily
like
Republican.
today,
Okay.
if I tried to run today in my old district, I'd never win
Okay.
because it's so Republican,
Okay. Okay.
now.
Okay.
That's what it used to be.
Sure. Okay.
That's kind of what it was back then. So I didn't know any better. I mean, if I'd had any sense, I wouldn't have ever run in the first place.
Okay. All right. All
you know.
right.
But I was good at it,
Sure.
and
Okay.
the first section I passed more bills than anybody else in the legislature. I made wild rice the state grain of Minnesota. I set up the chickadee checkoff. You know what that is?
I don't.
It's on the tax return, state tax return.
Yes.
You can designate a wildlife
And
checkoff. I did that.
okay, what's that called?
They called it the chickadee checkoff.
Okay.
It's actually called the non-game wildlife checkoff on the
Okay.
tax return.
Okay. Yes.
That's
okay.
something I came up with in the middle of the night, and I was
Okay.
on the tax committee and
Okay.
got it done.
Okay.
So I got a lot of stuff done, and I was enjoying it. And the problem was, I was gone to St. Paul when I should have been home working.
Okay.
So I brought some people in to take my place, but it wasn't the same. And I could see that wasn't going to work long term.
So so when you say take your place, you had hired in.
Yeah, some people did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. And then you were down in St. Paul,
for 3 months, 4
not
months.
tending business here at your own business and
Yeah,
things.
and the people that I hired were good, but the clients didn't like them as much as they liked me.
You. Okay. Okay.
So,
Okay.
So in 1981, I ran for re-election, got re-elected. So I decided, if I'm going to stay in politics, I'm going to have to get a full-time job because it's just is not going to work.
Sure. Okay.
So
You're
that's
torn
when
you're torn in too many different.
Yeah, so I decided Bob Berglund had become Secretary of Agriculture. Arlen Stanglin, if you remember that name, he
Yes.
got elected in his place,
Okay.
and he was a Republican. And the Democrats were wanting me to run against him.
Okay.
And so I decided in 1982, I decided I was going to run for Congress. And because then I could have a full-time job in politics.
Okay. So that was the core decision.
Yeah.
Then you were going to let go of your practice.
Well, I didn't really know what I was going to do with
Okay.
it, but I mean, back in those days, I could still be in Congress and have an accounting practice.
Oh, okay.
Now you can't do that.
Okay.
Now you have to, if you're an accountant, a CPA, lawyer, financial advisor, you cannot own a practice and be in Congress
Okay.
because they figure it's a conflict
Conflict
of
of
interest.
interest.
So anyway, I ran for Congress in '82 against a guy who had run twice for Democrats, gotten beat, and I went to the convention, and out of 350 votes, I lost by 3 votes to this guy. And I decided not to take him on in the primary, so I went and I ran for the Senate again for another
Okay.
4 years. So I served. So in '84, I ran again for Congress and lost
Okay.
because that was Reagan, and Democrats couldn't win under Reagan.
Okay. Okay.
And then in '86, I had a good campaign going, and I had the Democrats were going to support me, which they ended up not doing, and I lost by 120 votes.
And that was in what year?
That was in '86.
Okay.
And
Oh
then
my
I was
God,
out of
these are like
office for.
heartbreaking losses.
Then I was out of office, and then in 1990, I got elected. And the reason I got elected was because Arlen Stanglin got in trouble. You
Okay.
remember with his girlfriend in Washington?
Something, yes. Yes. Okay.
So,
So did he resign?
no.
No, he didn't
No,
resign?
no, he so anyway, in 1986 I lost.
Okay.
And you know who Rahm Emanuel is?
I don't.
So he was the mayor of Chicago, and he was in Congress. But back then he was the DCCC staffer. So he was like the Democratic
okay.
committee staffer that
Okay.
was assigned to me.
Okay.
So
Okay.
him and Burl Anthony from Arkansas came here and said, we're gonna get behind Peterson. We're gonna give him max out. We're gonna help him get elected. And not only did they not help me, they were actually calling people in Washington and telling them not to give me money because I couldn't win.
Oh.
And then I lost by 100 votes.
Oh.
So then Rahm, the day after the election, puts 30 lawyers on an airplane, flies them out here, and they decide to do a recount.
Okay.
So they did a recount, and I ended up going backwards. And
You lost by even more votes.
yeah,
Okay.
that's what normally happens.
Okay.
And then I made people mad
Okay.
because I was doing this.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So I ended up '86, not only losing the election, but actually having the highest negatives of anybody around. And then in 80,
So right there, 1986, you lost. You were really pushing hard. Where are you at, like mentally, with politics?
well, I still wasn't done with it.
Okay, you knew that. Okay. So you took the defeat.
Yeah, I took the defeat, and I went back and got back in with my former accounting
Okay.
partners
Okay.
that had taken over.
Okay.
And so I'm doing accounting, and I decided I'm done.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So I told my partners, I'm done with politics. I'm going to be back and work in the business.
Sure.
But
Tell me a little bit about that defeat. So, because sometimes in life, and I know you can turn around and look back and reflect on life, that sometimes defeats at the time are very hard to take, but they might have been the best thing.
Well, they were because in '82, if I would have won that endorsement and been the candidate in '82, I would have probably won the election. Mm-hmm. And if I'd have won the election in '82, I would have been defeated in '94 because of what happened with the Newt Gingrich and the contract with America. And there's a lot of other reasons. I mean, the House bank scandal, I would have got caught up in that, which defeated a lot of people. So it was actually a good thing I didn't win in '82.
Okay.
And it's probably a good thing I didn't win in '86.
Okay.
Because the same thing, I would have got.
Sure.
I would have not been in a position where I could have weathered that '94 election.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask. I want to ask you. I want to just kind of hone in here a little bit, if you don't mind. I want to keep hearing it, but I want to ask you about this. When you take those defeats, and you know that you're interested in it, how do you handle? How do you, okay, so you're obviously out shaking hands, you're trying to get people, to vote for you. You go to bed that night, or you wake up the next morning and you know that you were defeated that night.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Well, you feel when it's 100 votes, you feel like what could we have done?
Okay. Okay.
But,
okay.
We ran a good campaign.
Okay.
And it was an uphill battle.
Okay.
So then in '88, the party picked another guy to run, and I didn't like it, so I ran in the primary and lost to him, which was also a good thing.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't have, been where I am today.
Sure.
So then in '90, after that '88 thing, I'm done with politics. Okay, I told my partners I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. So I come home from work on a Saturday afternoon in March of 2000 of 1990, and I came home from work, and I get a call from a guy named Bill Salisbury, who was a political reporter down in St. Paul that I knew pretty well. And he says, are you going to run for Congress? I said, why are you asking me that? He said, well, haven't you heard about Sanglin's big scandal? I said, I don't know anything about it.
Sure.
What are you talking about?
Right, I'm working.
So he says, he got in trouble, and, people are wondering if you're going to jump in, given the fact that he probably is politically damaged, I said, I have no idea. I said, I haven't even thought about this, but, So anyway, so I did some thinking, and I decided, I put 8 years of my life into this. I figured I had a 5% chance of maybe winning, but I figured, what the heck, a couple more months,
Wow.
take the chance. So I announced that I was going to run, and by that time I had two other opponents, and it took me 12 ballots to get the Democrats to support me.
Wow.
But when they did, I didn't have a primary, and Stanglin self-destructed. So what ended up happening is that he had this girlfriend in Washington, and he was calling her on his house credit card. Now, back in those days, they didn't have cell phones. So what they did is they gave the congressman a credit card.
Okay.
So you could use that credit card and punch in on the phone, and it would dial the number, and you didn't have to pay for it.
Okay.
So he was using that credit card to call her.
Okay.
And which nobody would have ever known about, but there was a guy named Ed something, I can't remember his last name, who had been designated to go to work for Stanglin because he was drinking too much and chasing around too much, and he was always just barely winning. So they put this Ed guy in to run his office to try to straighten him out.
Okay.
So anyway.
Oh, and he's the one that found it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then Stanglin, Stanglin's drinking, and he's, so Ed sat him down and he said, you got to quit this.
Okay.
And Stanglin fired him.
Okay.
So he had these phone records.
Sure. Yeah.
And he turned it over to the press.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So, so I had no idea about this. This other guy that ran in '88 knew about it. Anyway, there was a guy named Bill McAllister in St. Cloud that Ed gave the phone records to.
Okay.
And he wrote for the St. Cloud Times.
Okay.
And he was a bulldog, and he did not like Sanglin. And every day in the paper, there was a story about the phone calls and,
Okay.
and the girlfriend and
Yeah.
all this stuff. So at the beginning of that, Bill McAllister called Stanglin and called the girlfriend and asked her what was going on here. Why was
Right.
this guy calling you in the middle of the
Right.
night and all this stuff?
Yeah.
And she says there was a guy in Washington named Bill McAllister that was writing for the Washington Post, the same name, which was a friend of hers. So she thought it was him that she was talking to.
Okay.
So he calls up, Bill McAllister from St. Cloud calls up and says, it's Bill McAllister, you know, blah, blah. And she said, well, Bill, she said, I have a new boyfriend now who loves me very much.
Okay.
So that was the quote that was in the paper.
Okay. Okay. Oh boy, that blew the story wide open.
Well, yeah, and then Bill McAllister had it every day in the paper, some
Sure.
other iteration
Right.
of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which still, I don't think Stanley would have lost
Mm-hmm.
because the district was so Republican. But, but anyways, we had one debate, and it was on public television at Concordia.
Okay.
And so we're debating, and we both had a speech at the beginning. And we get done, and the guy named John Sunvor from the Fargo paper did not like Stanglin. He got the first question. And he said, Congressman, he said, you know, people want to know what this was about.
Sure.
It's just, you know,
Right.
he had told everybody this was business.
Right. Right.
And she was a lobbyist, and
Sure.
that's what. you know.
Okay. Yep.
And he said, it just doesn't make any sense because you were calling her at 3 in the morning.
Sure. Right.
You were calling your wife from her phone at 6 in the morning. You know, people just don't think this makes sense. You know, what was going on here? And he says, God damn it, John. He says, I told you it was business. And he said, and if people don't believe me, they can just vote against me.
Ooh. Okay.
So that was the end of the
That
election
was-
right there.
Okay. 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 Okay.
So I got elected.
So you got elected, and that was okay. What?
1990.
1990. And how old are you at this time? In 1990.
45.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna stop you right there, and then I want to back up a little bit. You got married.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. How old were you, and where were you at?
I was in college.
Okay.
And, but we got divorced after 6 or 7 years.
Okay. Did you
I
have
had 3
children?
kids.
You had 3 children.
3 boys.
Okay, so you were in college, really starting. I mean, you hadn't even really got into your counting business at that time.
Well, it was right about the same time that I
Okay.
went to Detroit Lakes.
Okay. Oh,
It all
okay.
kinda happened at the
the
same
same time. Okay, and you were married to her.
Yeah.
Had 3 children.
Yeah.
Divorced after 6 years.
Yeah, 6 or 7 years. We got
Okay.
divorced in 74.
Okay. Had you ever remarried?
No.
You've never been remarried. Okay.
I'm in politics.
Okay, I was going to say your lifestyle was just really.
Yeah, it's just-
okay.
I could have, but
Do you contribute that? Was it just you just grew apart, or were you just really too invested?
no, I had a drinking problem. That was
Oh,
another thing
okay.
that happened in all of this.
Okay,
You
okay.
know, so 1973,
Okay.
I went to treatment.
Okay. 73. How old are you at that time?
Well, wait a
30?
minute. Was it 70? No, it was 19. Yeah, it was 73. I was 31, I think.
Okay.
And I went to treatment at St. John's.
Okay. So when you say you had a drinking problem, did you get in trouble from it, or did you just know
I
it was
knew
getting
because
out
I
of hand?
couldn't. I couldn't work as much as I should, you know. and
Okay.
and
Okay.
I just knew I had to do something. So I went and got
You
help.
admitted yourself?
Yep.
Okay. And then was it more like you were drinking like during the day or like all day, or was it that you were drinking at the end of the day?
it was kind of not. It was at the end. That's when it got bad.
Okay.
And so I went and got help, and
Okay.
And it worked.
Okay.
And when I got out, I never touched. I haven't taken a drop since.
But were you married at the time you went to treatment, or
Yeah,
was it after?
I was married,
Okay.
and that's part of why we got divorced
Okay.
because it you know.
Okay. Too much.
Yeah.
Just too much chaos.
Yeah.
And then did you split raising
Well,
the
we
children?
went to marriage counseling down in Fergus Falls, and the counselor one day says, you know, you guys should get divorced.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Yeah.
You know, and so we ended up doing that. But,
Okay.
But
Okay.
we parted friends. You know, we didn't fight over the kids or any of that stuff. So
Did you do 50-50?
yeah, 50-50. I had the kids half-time. She had them
Okay.
half-time. We
Okay. Okay.
worked back and forth. It
Sure.
was fine.
How old are your children now? In their 40s?
No, they're in 50s.
50s now?
Yeah, my
Okay.
oldest is, I think he's 59.
Okay. Did any of your children, are they boys, girls?
Yeah, they're all boys.
Oh, you had all boys. Okay. So you grew up in a family of girls.
Yeah.
And then you have three sons. Any of them in politics?
No. My oldest tried to run and didn't make it.
Okay.
And so he's a teacher in Bagley.
Okay. Okay.
My middle boy has worked for Microsoft,
Oh, okay.
and he doesn't really,
Okay.
you know, he knows politics, but he doesn't really want to do it.
Okay.
And my youngest son is more interested, but he went to college down in, when my middle son was in Tennessee working for General Motors, he went down there and ended up going to college down there, met a girl, and they got married, and he's been there ever since.
In Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
okay.
he now works in my consulting practice. you know,
Okay.
So he's my lobbyist. So I send him to Washington.
Oh, okay. So it's kind
Yeah,
of,
so
okay.
he's good at politics.
Okay. Did you advise your children, your sons, to go into politics?
No,
You
I told
advised them to not?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough, I understand. All right, I just had to ask that. So you're, so you have not touched a drink?
No.
Drop?
So
from
I went
alcohol?
in December 17th, 1973,
Okay,
and I've not touched a drink since.
okay, okay.
So how long is that? 73 to,
Well, it'd be 52 or 53 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born in 75.
Okay.
So, how was that when you were in politics? I mean,
well, that's one of the reasons I was able to stay in politics, because I went to probably 10,000 receptions
Sure,
and didn't drink.
okay,
And I watched my colleagues, you know,
Sure.
drink too much and get in
Right.
trouble. And,
yeah,
you
okay,
know, so it was good.
okay. That actually really benefited you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I knew what I was doing. I never had to worry about
right,
wondering what
right.
happened or
right.
what whether
Yeah.
I remembered it right or whatever.
Yeah, that benefited you long-term a lot. Yes. Well, that's
Yeah, I was
wonderful.
lucky. You know, a lot of people that were in the treatment with me did not
Okay.
make it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they kept relapsing and going back and so forth. And
Sometimes they say that alcoholism is like a symptom of a problem. Was your alcoholism just because of the atmosphere that you were in?
no, I tell you, the first drink I ever took, I should have known,
Okay.
because it affected me so much.
Okay.
You know, I had this. It made me feel so good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if I would have known at the time, I would have known I was in trouble.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
and I didn't know.
Okay. Okay.
And so,
So it just altered your.
yeah, I mean, it just, I think it's in some people's genes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that it affects you so much that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you crave it because it makes the way it makes you feel.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, and your lifestyle is high octane. I mean, so alcohol would, settle you down a little bit and calm your
well,
nerves.
whatever, yeah. So, I mean, so I don't remember much about the drinking anymore. I mean,
Okay.
it's
Been so long
ancient
ago.
history, and
Yeah,
I
but
know I wasn't happy.
right, but that was really. I mean, I can't even imagine what it would be like to be a heavy drinker in politics, because you have to have your game
I
on.
would have never survived.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
so.
Wow. Interesting.
And I would have never, you know, I had a band for 40 years. I
Okay.
played wedding dances and sometimes played for all week long. I would never been able to do that if I'd have been drinking.
Okay. You are just amazing. So you are a singer, you can play in a band, politician, an accountant. You just like to keep
And a
learning.
farmer.
Yeah,
And I got
and
a farm
farmer.
up north now. So I'm farming some, although I'm getting too old for that.
Okay. Do you get on your straw hat and
Yeah, I
bib
do.
overalls?
I don't have a
and-
straw hat, but I got like a pith helmet. You know, like those round helmets that they wear over.
Oh my. Okay. All right.
I wear that
Sure,
so I
yeah.
don't get sunburned.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was up there yesterday. But
Okay. You're in your happy place.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go back then to you won. So in 1990, they called you to see if you wanted. You were out for a while, 8 years.
Well, I had to force my way back onto the ballot.
Okay.
There were not people. There were people that were skeptical about me.
Okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
I got endorsed by the party. I won the election. I went to Congress, and then the district was very Republican.
Okay.
So I had a young guy from St. Cloud who was in the state legislature
Okay.
run against me in 1992 and 94.
Okay.
And he almost beat me.
Oh, okay.
The first time I lost by 3,000. He lost by 3,000 votes. The second time by 7,000. So I survived those two elections. And then it turned into a whole different situation. So the next 20-some years, I won by 75%,
Okay. Okay.
So I never had close elections at
Okay.
all.
What do you contribute that to?
Well, people got to know me.
Okay.
And, it was not, the Republicans figured they couldn't beat me.
Okay.
So they gave up. you know.
Okay. Okay. What makes you so likable?
I have no idea. I'm kind of ornery sometimes.
You are? Yeah. Yeah. But people voted for you.
Well,
So you have to have something.
I have a way to, when I talk to people, they feel
Appreciated? And,
confident in what I'm doing. I don't know
okay.
what it is. But,
Okay.
if you're going to be successful in politics, you have to do that. You have to, have that ability
Okay.
to relate to people.
To relate. That's what you contribute your success to, is that you're relatable, you listen.
Yeah, that's the main thing you have to do. If you're going to be successful, you got to listen. Because at the end of the day, your job is to represent those people. There's 700,000 people, and one person has to take their message, to Washington. So I spent a lot of time listening, and sometimes I would not. I would do what my constituents wanted, even though I didn't necessarily think that was the best thing. But that's what you do. Your job is to represent your constituents.
So even against your own belief.
Well, I might not know my beliefs, but I'm just not sure that some of this was the best
Okay.
long term.
Okay.
Like-
But because of your constituents
Yeah.
that you're representing, you had to.
Well, I didn't have to, but I felt that was my job.
Okay. Okay.
And so that kept me in office until Trump came along.
Okay.
And then Trump changed everything.
Okay.
And so in 16, I went from winning by 30 points, I went to winning by 9 points.
Okay.
And then in 18, I won by 8 points.
Okay.
And then in 20, it had turned enough that I knew I was going to retire, and the farmers wouldn't let me. And so I ended up running again. I didn't think I could win,
Okay.
and I was right.
Okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
I got out.
Okay. What was your most profound form of how would you say that? Your most profound or impactful form of legislature that you covered?
That was mostly in the state Senate. In the House, the way it works there, there's 435 people, and there's not one person is going to do everything.
Right.
So what you do there is you carve out a niche for yourself where people respect your knowledge and your abilities, and it's not you out there doing one thing, So
What was your
well,
most?
what I did is I decided if I paid attention to agriculture, my district was agriculture, and I worked my way up that I could become something, and so.
Okay.
So I was the head Democrat for 16 years on the Ag Committee.
And the Ag Committee, very impactful.
Yeah, and I would say I'm the most widely known agriculture politician in the country.
Because of your knowledge and understanding.
Well, and because I went all over the country and got to meet all these guys. I know the rice growers. I know the
Okay.
cotton growers. I know the cattlemen. I know, they all know me. You know, now it's starting to fade away a little bit,
Sure.
because
Right.
I've been out of there. But I had a really, I took care of agriculture. They knew I knew what I was doing. Nancy Pelosi, for all her faults, believed in me, and she would listen to me, even though she didn't really believe that what I was doing. But at the end of the day, she let me do what I did, and that served her well. You know, because she knew that agriculture was important. She knew I knew what I was talking about, and so she let me do my thing. You know, so I think my most impactful thing was being able to stay in office for all those years and do a good job of representing agriculture.
Do you ever feel like you were just beating your head against a wall
Yeah.
sometimes?
And now I feel like, to some extent, I wonder some days, did I waste 30 years because they're undoing a lot of what I did?
Okay.
You know, giving out money to farmers for no reason. I just don't agree with that. But the farmers are going to take the money if they can get it. You know, so yeah, I was absolutely beating my head against the wall. And then I went through some interesting times. I was on the Intelligence Committee. I was there 6 months before 9/11, so I lived through all of that 9/11 stuff, and the 9/11 Commission and all that.
Wow, you have seen a lot of stuff. Did you actually have do you have like an apartment that you were
Yeah.
living there?
Yeah.
So much time out of the year, or did you stay there and then fly home and then stay
Yeah,
there?
no, I had an apartment for the whole time,
Okay,
you know.
okay,
So I had to have two houses.
okay.
So I pay one in Washington, one in
Back
here,
home, back home. Okay, okay.
and fly back and forth.
How do you remember? How did you remember names? I think about like
I'm not very good at that,
Okay.
and so I kind of bluff a lot.
Oh, sure.
I mean, I recognize people.
Okay.
You know, I recognize their face,
Okay.
and I got so that I knew where they were from.
Okay. Oh.
You
Okay.
know, I mean, I could tell. I know that person's from Roseau.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
I couldn't always say
Yeah.
his name.
Okay. Right.
You know,
Right.
so I got caught a few times trying to bluff. You know, but
Right.
but I'm not that good with names.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can at least affiliate them with some
Yeah,
place.
and I knew what they were interested in
Sure.
and what they
Yeah.
cared about. And
Right. Did you see a lot of stuff in Washington that you maybe didn't want to see?
Well,
Is there a darker side to? Is there a darker side?
yeah, there's a lot of nonsense that goes on. I'm in the process of thinking about writing a book. You know, I've been working on this, and if I dared tell what I know, I could write a pretty interesting book. But I don't think, I don't think that'd be the right thing to do.
Okay. Okay. A lot of stuff behind the scenes that
Yeah,
you might know.
a lot of personal nonsense that goes on that
Okay.
I knew about that
Okay.
nobody
Okay.
knows about.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Got to just be quiet about it.
Yeah.
Know it and then be quiet. Why is there, so I often think about and I'm not just going to pick out politics right now. I mean, you're a politician, so we are talking about politics. But there's so many different things in life. We need more dialogue. We just need more dialogue. So sometimes, like with religions, with, certain Christianity groups, if we would just come together and talk, we're not so far off.
No.
And in politics, I have really good friends on, one side or the other. And if we would have a little bit more dialogue, I think it would open.
We used to have that.
We used to. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
What
that,
happened?
That changed in '94
Oh, in 94. Specifically in 94 because.
because of Newt Gingrich.
Okay.
And he actually went out starting in 1987
Okay.
to divide the country.
Okay. Okay.
And that's what he did, and that's
Okay.
how he got the Republicans to be in charge,
Okay.
by dividing the country.
Dividing.
And
Okay.
he started making social issues primarily a dividing point.
Okay.
Abortion,
Okay.
gun control,
Okay.
that sort of stuff.
Okay. Okay.
And to some extent gets involved in religion with some of that as well.
Sure. Right.
So,
Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Let's just pick gun control. I grew up with guns. We are avid hunters here. I think you are as well. And then I have really good friends that have never, ever held a gun or a weapon.
that's the problem. They have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Okay. Fair enough. But they believe that let's say that they don't know what they're talking about, but they still believe that.
Yeah, I understand.
What can we do to get that closer together? Because, a lot of times people that are for guns or, support guns and want to, not to have so many gun controls, they say it's not the gun that's doing the damage. It's the person that's holding it. But then over here, the people that are about gun control and want to have more control on it, they may perhaps have never held one. So how can we, bring that to more unified?
Well, I don't think you can, because the people that don't know anything about guns,
Okay.
you can't have a conversation with them because they don't know what they're talking about.
Okay.
For example, this assault weapons. There is no such thing as an assault weapon.
Okay. Okay.
That was a made-up name by Chuck Schumer,
Okay.
who did this back in 1994. I was there when it happened.
Okay.
And they decided if they were going to be able to ban guns, they had to demonize them.
Oh. Okay.
So what they did is they took 17 guns that looked ugly.
Okay.
These
ARs.
AK-4, yeah.
Sure. Yep.
And they named them to these different names.
Okay.
And they took a picture of them.
Okay.
They called them assault weapons.
Okay.
And so then they passed a bill in the crime bill in 1994 banning those assault weapons.
Okay.
Well, what they are is a semi-automatic rifle.
Okay.
They're
Sure, right.
Actually, they're mostly 223s
Sure.
or
Right.
small. There's some
Okay.
308s.
Okay.
But they're not assault weapons. They're a semi-automatic rifle. Well, these people talk about these dangerous, highly powerful assault weapons. That's nonsense. I had a 300 Win Mag automatic, semi-automatic rifle.
Right.
It's a lot more deadly than any of those are.
Correct.
So really, if they want to ban guns, the reason they came up with this assault weapon was if you're going to try to ban them based on the way they fire, semi-automatic. So most of your popular shotguns are semi-automatic. A lot of your rifles are. All of your pistols are. So the only way that you can actually do this is if you banned semi-automatic weapons. Now, New Zealand did that. Some other places did it, and it worked. But the people turned their guns in. United States, that's not going to happen. So if they really want to do this and stop people from having guns that shoot a lot of shells, they have to ban semi-automatic weapons. Never going to happen.
Never going to happen. Okay.
Okay. And these folks on the other side don't even know the difference. They don't have any idea.
Okay. Okay. So what I think I'm hearing you say, I know what you said. It's not going to happen, and they're not going to.
And you can't educate them because they don't know enough to be educated.
Okay.
And they don't care.
Okay. So what we could try to do, that's just vocalizing right there, coming together and just talking about it.
But they won't listen because they've been convinced that these assault weapons are the whole problem.
Okay.
And if you just got rid of them, everything would be fine.
Okay.
And it's nonsense,
Okay.
And they don't. So you try to explain to them about how a gun works. They don't want to hear about it.
Okay. Is it just because they just don't have the knowledge and understanding
Well,
of operating
and
a gun?
they got it in their mind. They don't like guns in the first place.
Right.
So they don't want to hear
Sure.
the real world, because if they do, it's going to undermine what they're doing.
I understand.
So
Okay.
it's the same thing in agriculture. We have a big problem in agriculture.
Okay.
The public, back in the old days when I first started, Minneapolis, most of the people in Minneapolis were one generation off the farm.
Okay.
So they understood.
Okay, one generation off of the farm.
Yeah, I mean,
Meaning they had just,
they
they
their folks
understood
were
the
farming,
farming. Yep, okay.
or grandpa, whatever. And so they would go home for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you could kind of talk to them because they understood, Now you go down to Minneapolis, and half of the people there weren't even born in the United States,
Okay, yes, I do.
and they just don't have any idea about this stuff. So you got a bunch of people out there that are trying to capitalize on this lack of knowledge, and they create this whole conflict between big farms and small farms.
Okay,
And so the problem we have in this country is that we got the big farms are portioning the small farms out of business. Complete nonsense, But you got a lot of people that believe that. Farm Aid is a good example. I don't know if you watched Farm Aid.
yes.
This
yes.
weekend?
I did not, but
Okay. Yeah, so Neil Young gets on there and says, these big farmers are destroying America. They're destroying agriculture, and so we need to put a conscience tax on big farmers, and we need to charge them a conscience tax and then take that money and give it to the little farmers. It's just nonsense, But he gets by with it, so he's... So one of the things I'm struggling with right now and try to write this book is I don't, the people in Minneapolis, even in Detroit Lakes, don't know enough about this to actually be able to talk to them about it.
okay,
And that's the problem. And they don't care.
right.
Because, what's the problem? The grocery store's got everything I want. What do
Right,
I,
right. Okay, so if it doesn't affect them,
Yeah.
then they don't care.
Yeah.
But if they would dig a little deeper and start to understand it,
They should worry about where this thing is going, in my
Right.
opinion. But
right?
you can't get their attention. And then, we're given 40% of the population doesn't pay for the food. Because they're getting
Okay,
food stamps.
food stamps. Okay, EBT.
So it's just, it's a problem. And
Do you get a little disheartened? A little?
no, I don't give up. I'm working for some people that are trying to have me help them get the public to understand what's going on.
Okay,
So I haven't given up yet, but some
Okay.
days I wonder,
okay, yeah,
you know.
yeah. To keep positive, the
Well,
optimism.
Yeah,
high.
I don't want to turn this over to the people that have no idea what they're talking about,
Okay,
you know.
okay. Is there anything that, if let's just say, let's pick a young guy, lots of drive, very excited about politics. What would young gal wanting to change the world?
Well, they'll find out in a hurry that they're not going to be able to.
Okay, all right. Well, then why would a person, if they're not gonna, they have that excitement and that drive and the desire.
So they're attracted to the divisions. So what's going on now? When I was first running, I had to convince Republicans to support me because that's how. Now, that's not how the elections work. You either got one side or the other. So Tim Walz is a good example. So Tim Walz was in Congress. He was on my committee. He was a moderate Democrat. He didn't, he would be middle of the road. He represented a red district down in the 1st District. And actually, he came to me in 2016 or 17, said, I think I can get elected governor. And I said, well, what kind of governor are you going to be? He said, well, I'm not going to be like Dayton. He said, I'm going to be middle of the road. And I said, well, if you do that, I'll support you. So I did. So he gets elected. And he kind of goes to the left, but not too bad. And then in 2022, he ran for re-election. And he decided he did not need anybody in rural Minnesota. So all he needed was Minneapolis, St. Paul, the suburbs, Rochester, Mankato, Duluth, and Moorhead.
Because that's the votes.
Yeah, and he won.
Okay.
Without any of the rural areas. And so that's what's going on now. So now you've got the parties. So if you're going to be a Democrat, you're going to be thinking like that. How do I get those people to support me? and you don't even pay attention to the rural people, and vice versa. And that's part of why we're so divided.
The division.
And the political parties actually encourage this.
Okay.
You know, the way the system works.
On both sides.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so and that's the problem. You know, I don't know how we get back. They've gerrymandered these districts. So out of 435 House districts, 400 of them have no contest in November. None. The election is done in the primary before they ever get to November. So the election is between
Yep. Okay.
liberal,
Right.
conservative,
Yeah.
Republicans,
Yeah.
or, you know, so
Right.
forth. That's what's causing this division.
Okay.
And I don't know how we get out of it. I mean, it's, you know, like Charlie Kirk, I didn't know much about this guy till he got shot. You know, you got to give him credit. He created a movement, you know, somewhat built on religion, somewhat on some of the issues. It's amazing. He could get, you know, but he was dividing people in what he did. That's what they do. And the Democrats, AOC and Ilhan Omar and these people, they divide the same thing. They do the same thing with the Democrats. They make the Republicans evil. You know,
Okay.
you know, elect us and we're going to get rid of the guns. You know, so it's just
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Sure.
it's, you know, that's the problem. And we'll get out of this eventually. I think 20, 30 years maybe, but it's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while. Yeah. So when I ask you, some young guy, some young gal, really excited, trying to change the world, wants to get into politics, you say,
Well, they're going to end up they're going to go one place or the other.
okay.
They're going to become a Republican or a Democrat.
Okay.
And that's the only way they're going to get ahead.
Okay.
There's not going to be people like me.
Okay.
I'm kind of the last one.
Sure.
You know,
Yep.
I'm thinking of if I get this book written, and the title is going to be The Last Blue Dog.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Okay.
because
Sure.
I am the last
Yeah.
one. I was
Yeah.
the last one in Congress,
Sure.
and there's nobody like me coming up, and they would not survive. You know,
When you say that there's nobody like you, give me just a little bit of an example.
well, I mean somebody that politics are middle of the road.
Okay.
You know, so I'm the last pro-life Democrat.
Okay.
You know, that was in
I
Congress.
see. Sure. Yeah.
You know, all the rest of them switched. They were pro-life. They became
Sure.
pro-choice because
Right.
that's what they had to do
Yeah.
politically.
Yeah.
I refused to do that.
Right.
And that's part of why I lost,
Okay.
because the pro-lifers went after me, even though I'd never voted against them ever.
Right.
But they saw a way that they could convince people that because I was a Democrat, I wasn't really what I said I was.
Oh, okay.
And they sent 60,000 letters out to people saying I had changed my position, even though I hadn't.
And that you hadn't. Yeah.
And that's why I didn't think I could win. See? So that's what goes on today. You know, and there were times in the last 10 years of my career where I thought, you know, why am I doing this? You know, well, the reason I was doing it is because I was the guy that could actually bring people together on agriculture and keep at least that part of the
Okay.
world from becoming partisan. But that's getting harder and harder to do now too. So
You have a really comes from the heart. Your desire to accomplish things.
yeah,
To make
I'd be much better off if I would just not worry about it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
You can't do that. So, Collin, I have to ask you, you're what, 81? What would you tell now, your 81 self now, what would you tell your 30-year-old self 50 years ago?
Well, I would not get into politics today.
Okay. You would tell your,
I've told them.
okay, you've told your,
I mean, you know, it's just what's going on I don't agree with.
okay.
You know, and you've got these people out there that are figuring out how to talk to people to get them, manipulate them to do what they want, you know, and that's part of what's wrong with this country. You know, and back in the old days when I first got there, you know, I could get along with the Republicans. We'd sit down and I'd listen to them, find out what it is they needed. They'd listen to me. We'd work it out. It doesn't work like that anymore.
Okay.
It's like the other side's the enemy, you know, and I'm going to hire professionals to help me figure out how to manipulate people so I can get elected and do what I want. It's just not good for the country.
Okay.
So I don't agree with I don't like what's going on. I think Trump is doing good stuff, some good stuff, but he's also really dividing the country,
Okay.
you know, and that part I don't like,
Okay.
you know, and he's a master. The guy, I've never seen anybody that's just
Really?
got, you know, a pulse on things the way he does. So I'm glad I'm out of office, and anybody that I care about, I'm going to, at this point, tell them, I'm not sure this is what you want to do right now.
Okay. Okay.
But somehow or another, somebody's going to do it. You
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
we'll get out of it some, you know, like I say, we'll do the right thing after we've done everything else wrong.
Okay.
And
okay.
eventually we'll figure
okay.
out what to do.
Fair enough. I understand that. Yeah. Yeah. What do you do? Like, let's go back when you were right in the thick of it. You were living in Washington, D.C. You were really, you know, really in the thick of your political career. What did you do to, like, rejuvenate yourself, mind and body?
I go to the gym every day.
Okay.
I
Okay.
work out every morning.
Okay. Okay.
That's part of it. You know, I go up and down. And there'd be times when I just kind of check out for a couple months and then, you know, I just take a break, you know, and it just, I don't know, it never was the same.
Okay.
Over 30 years, every year was different. I just kind of went with the flow and just tried to keep myself relevant, you know, keep my position in the ag world solid. And that's all you can do. I can't control the rest of it.
You appear pretty grounded, like pretty grounded to your roots, where you grew up, being the oldest of 8 children. What do you contribute that grounding to?
Well, I think growing up like I did, you know, we were in a little 3-bedroom house with 8 kids, 1 bathroom. Can you imagine 7 girls in 1 bathroom? You know, and you learn how to get along, how to work together, how to do things. You know, we still have a pretty close family. We still get together all the time, and I have them out to my house every summer. We have 60 people show up. You know, all my cousins and nieces and nephews and grandkids. And so, but I think it was easier back when I was growing up. You know, today
Sure.
with the social media, and
Yes.
it's tough. These kids have got a tough situation, I think.
When you were at the height of your political career, was that a little lonely?
Yeah, some days. But I had my friends that I'd hang out with.
Sometimes the more people you know.
Yeah, and that happened at the end of my career. So my good friends started dying or retiring or whatever. And I mean, it's going on now. So, I mean, it is a little lonely. When I was in the thick of it, it wasn't, because I was too busy and all these people around me. And when I was the chairman of the committee, everybody's sucking up to me, you know.
Just that part right there, sucking up to you. You know what is happening.
Yeah,
you
I know.
know why you're having friends. And sometimes I think about, like, when you're on the top, or, you know, people are doing that, it's not real. It's not. So when I ask you about being lonely, I sometimes, and I'm nowhere near at all, you know, where you were at, but having, like, lots of different people, you'd think, gosh, they just have everything. They have lots of friends, and they always have, you know, anything at their fingertips. But really, the truth of the matter, that's not substance. That's not what really matters at the end of the day anyways.
And you need to understand that, you know, and that's, I think, how you can be successful, is understanding that what's bullshit and what isn't, you know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and some people, it goes to their head.
yes,
You know, they think they're bigger than,
right,
more important than everybody
Right.
else.
yes,
I never thought that.
Okay.
I don't think that now.
okay. So
I
that,
was just a farm kid from Baker that ended up someplace I never thought I would end up.
wow, yeah, yeah. I want you to write that book.
Well, I'm working on
I
it.
think you have so much to share.
I have a hard time getting motivated.
Okay. I want to thank you so much for joining me on Real Feel Insights. This has been truly just an eye-opening insight into your life. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for sharing this with us. Truly, thank you very
Well, thank
much.
you. I enjoyed it. Hopefully, it'll do some good for somebody.
Thank you.